Becca seems nice. From the animations I saw in some YouTube video, I might actually return to Wuva for like 5 days in a dream. Ah. Yeah, that seems appropriate. Nice. Sure. Okay. One hour 40 minutes. Whoa, is really annoying. It's trying to open in full window. Some clover. None of you are my friends today. Sure, let's go. Yeah, that works. No connection. Fucking Steam. Okay, let's relaunch Steam. $54%. It seems to work. Not in user data. Friends tab. Special offers. Just I want Withering Waves right now. How much time does it take? Tell me. Solar Punk, sure. Just released. That's a game. Oh, come on. Game calling itself Solar Punk. That seems kind of. I mean, there is a Cyberpunk game, so maybe that's fine. A game called Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk 2069. 26 gigs. I need a separate SSD just for Bova. That's ridiculous. I wonder how much space Warframe requires. Also, I just remembered. I told someone on the internet that Warframe is the game that respects your time. Yeah, okay, that's like... Why did I say it? It doesn't really. Crafting Warframes for like multiple days in order to craft them, that's well, bullshit. But at least it has events that rerun constantly, and all of the rewards from the events you can get from the market. Honey. Tastes like honey. Let's see. Trash. Will nature. Efficacy.
Well, that was something.
So it took me about effect match. For what specifically? Main crit rate infliction. Wedge. Sure. Interesting that they just do that now. That's quite cool.
Distract them.
Which who has a wedge?
Frosty biting. Distract
Whatever, I'm just gonna switch. I don't have wedge. Okay, let's see. You. That's enough. Good, good, good. Okay, that works. Let's see. All right. It took me less than 15 minutes. Let's go into Eden next, because it's an interesting it's a game in an interesting situation. Update confirmed. Press the start the game. I'm gonna launch this at the moment. For the time being. You need to restart Windows. Shut up. We don't need to restart Windows. Okay, first and foremost, and 8 days. 8 days for me to decide if I am going to buy it for 3 more months? Or is it going to be something else? Alright, let's see. F1. Alright. So, yeah. Okay. I see, I see.
Got the shot. The line is drawn. Huh? What the heavens? Radiant cloud.
I don't like it. I'm not sure. Maybe. No, it's fine. Understand. Wolf, wolf.
Hello there. How about a Tin Master
Hmm.
Opening for you. The door to music. Leave it to me. The line is drawn.
About another 5 minutes. It took me. I'm not going to launch Genshin yet. I think I'm going to go into here right now. Here's Eve. Yeah, I completely forgot about the thing called which is okay. Google stopped updating while anti-updated. Oh my god. Cupcake. Hot coffee, orange. And this 2 million phones. I'm rich. Kind of. Spend phones once. It's gonna come soon. All right. Hobbies. Not being pause. Honor selection, but for honor selection, I need something really interesting. But first, let's teleport here and Spend my regular stamina. Hmm.
I will see through the...
Time for the professionals to take over.
Let me gone!
Shift change. Don't make me clean up for too long. I can see you all. Mission complete. Now, shall we discuss payment?
Obviously not chaos.
I will see through the nexus. Great!
Your express delivery.
Arc light! Now's the time!
Pretty loud delivered.
Trust me.
Intel confirmed.
The ping is pretty low. However,
Through the nexus.
because of the,
Time for the professionals to take
you
over.
know what? It's still pretty janky. Psyche. Anima. Not correct. Unfortunate. Really unfortunate. Because of all the substats. I wonder if there is a way to recruit them.
Here's your delivery.
Or is going to be. And if
Perfect timing!
Shift change. Don't exclusive delivery.
this thing is still going, those sets are still going to be useful at the time.
Your express delivery.
Time to eat.
I will see through the nexus.
40 seconds. "25 minutes. It tells me patching takes 23 minutes. Well, hmm. Hmm. Really, 5 stats to roll. That's really annoying, of course. Okay, let's see. Oh my fucking god. Satoshi salt.
Pretty lively here. Exclusive delivery, please sign here. Let's settle.
Coming.
Shift change. Don't make me clean up for too long.
Hmm. Let my people go. SA. Let the dog out of wherever it was previously. My room. Let my people go.
Brand new selection of products that
No, I don't need chili yet. But at some point I might. Ah, nice. All of that is a bit ridiculous, but maybe that's just I'm continuing to invest. Let's TP here. Instead of Adler and Midbiansian.
Back to work again. Fine.
Unfortunate. I guess I'm not going to go for only selection. Or at least much. Nah. That's enough. I did the thing. Just enough of this thing. Say that I did it. Yeah, those stickers are fucking abysmal. at some point I will make my cafes look way more presentable. But not right now. Okay, I feel fine. I did everything I wanted to do in here. Only 2 characters needed. Oh, 23 minutes. You're serious.
Heads up! I live within you. Gotcha! It's justice o'clock! Headbutt! Hey! Yeah! one of those things where you gotta use it or lose it. So, wanna train with me sometime? There's a lot that goes into managing an orchard. Watering, weeding, fertilizing the soil, making sure the temperature is right. It's important. You have to keep the fruit in a good mood.
Okay, we have a problem. We need to spend a lot of stuff.
My parents always say, no matter how busy life gets, you should always sit down and enjoy a proper meal when you get hungry. What I like to do? Stack my plate up high, then squash it all down. Take a deep breath, then wolf it down in one go. That... I get...
58 minutes, seriously?
Add at... rebooting.
This realm is if you ever have
Lots of trash. Alright, let's go defeat this once.
Can I stop here and play? I mean, take a stroll. I won't go too far. Hey! Huh? The story has only just begun!
Such defiant. Bad enough? My turn! Hero incoming! Oof! Look out below! Charge! Yeah! Headbutt! Height! Yeah! Oof! Kapow!
Leave it to me! Decay!
Begone! Heaven's will made mine. Height! Yeah! Kapow! Hero incoming! Huh! Yeah! Kapow! Huh!
And that's trash. So is this. Let's go return here for a moment.
Strength is one of those things where you gotta use it or lose it. So, wanna train with me sometime? There's a lot that goes into managing an orchard. Watering, weeding, fertilizing the soil, making sure the temperature is right. Most important, you have to keep keep the fruit in a good mood. My parents always say, no matter how busy life gets, you should always sit down and enjoy a proper meal when you get hungry. What I like to do? Stack my plate up high, then squash it all down. Take a deep breath, and wolf it down in one go. Strength is one of those things where you gotta use it or lose it. So, wanna train with me sometime?
2300.
Wayne, for the everlasting forest. Three moons converge. It all falls into place. It all adds up. A moonlit night for all. Branch into song. Oh, forest, take my broken crown.
Not interested. Also not interested, but you know.
You poor. It all adds up. Let's see what you're made of. No more lies. Can't hide the truth. Surge. Lush as the moon, with one heart. No more lies.
Hmm. More attack percent, please. Okay, that's not attack percent.
into song for the everlasting forest.
Three moons converge. Sign here, please.
It all adds up. Can't hide the truth. Let's see what you're made of. It all adds up.
Yeah.
Managing an orchard. Surge, a moonlit night for all.
By the frost moon of old. Can't hide the truth. Time to go clean.
Strength is one of the... Use it or lose it. My parents always say, no matter how busy life gets, you should always sit down and enjoy a proper meal when you get hungry. What I like to do is stack my plate up high, then squash it all down, take a deep breath, and wolf it down in one go. That way, I get to eat my fill without wasting too much time. There's a lot that goes into managing an orchard. Watering, weeding, fertilizing the soil, making sure the temperature is right. It's important. You have to keep the fruit in a good mood. Ad Astro. Thank you for
I see. Oh my fucking god. Google AI finally fucking allowed me to find the song that I remembered. It's fucking Iron Mouse song. For some reason it has Iron Mouse in it. Мога. Он Lacrimosa. Okay, well, let's see. Yeah. It tells me I have no connection. Of course. But I can play Wuthering Waves, can I not? Let's see. Yeah. Вова, launching up, Вова.
So Lacrimosa is a very interesting character, being able to copy enemies' abilities and permanently use them whenever she wants. So today I wanted to compare all of them, try and figure out which one is the best. We did spend the last day unlocking all of them. I'm not really going to go over where to get them individually. You can copy one skill per boss here in the high-risk commission, I think except for the film dude, and you'll pretty much find the rest here in the enemy list in exploration guide. Some of them were a little annoying, so I'll talk about them for a second. The dream spawn, for example, when I first tracked it and went to its location, there were just nothing there, so I teleported to a different location, tracked it again, and that time it was there. When it comes to the Vishnus, there are actually 3 different skills you can copy from the various different gang members, so you might have to go to a couple different groups to find all of them. I always do this skill immediately after to make sure I've actually copied it, because sometimes it just doesn't work. Before we get started, a couple of notes. Firstly, on animation time, some can be cancelled to save a few frames, or maybe even more in some cases, but for the sake of this comparison, we're just letting them play out fully. And secondly, this was quite an undertaking. It was a lot more work to put this together than I thought it would be, so if you find it useful, please consider subscribing to the channel. There are 4 main things we're going to really be comparing today: the damage, the time to cast, the range of attack, some are single target, some are AoE, and finally any special effects. We'll primarily test the damage on the difficulty 2 cardboard castle here, with no changes throughout the testing or any team buffs, just to remove as many variables as possible. But okay, starting with the decomposer here, already a pretty interesting skill. It hits up to 8 times for 3052 damage, totaling 24,000. Animation time is approximately 3.1 seconds, and while it does have AoE, it is quite small, and because the trash can is going back and forth, in a real world scenario, I doubt you're going to be able to hit all 8 shots, especially on like multiple targets. So it does have somewhat high potential, but honestly too inconsistent to really recommend using it. Moving on to the rock spawn now, it does a single hit of about 16k damage, which as you'll see as we go through this is not that great, but it is decently fast at about 2 seconds, and the AoE is actually quite solid. As a side note for the AoE testing, we will be swapping off these fishes soon, since with all the effects they do, it's a bit hard to see what's going on. Next up we have the Gigafluff, dealing about 12k damage. Its only real saving grace here is that it's quite fast. There is technically AoE, but it is tiny. It took me like 4 tries to hit 2 fish. Then we have the Fluffy, its unevolved form. Honestly, not much better. It is even faster at a little under a second, but the damage is straight up pitiful at 6600. Again, there is an AoE there, but it's pretty small. Next up, we have Leech Spawn, also pretty bad in my opinion. The damage isn't great, the animation time is long, and this clip is kind of what I'm talking about. It's really hard to actually see what happens here, but basically the skill summons a hand and then slaps these 2 fish to show off the AoE, which I suppose is a bit of a plus when it can summon the hand to then do the front AoE. It gives you more like flexibility. Next up we have the Whisper Spawn, honestly pretty boring. It's fast and weak with a small frontal AoE, which at this point, even though we're still pretty early on, we've already seen. Taking a look at the Wind Spawn now, at least slightly more interesting due to the fact it is single target, dealing a total of 14.4k, not horrible, and the casting time is manageable as well at under 2 seconds. Next up is the Lost Spawn. It's basically a slightly upgraded Whisper Spawn, so there's not really much to say here. A bit more damage at about the same animation time. Next up we got the Bomb Spawn. The first really interesting one actually. It does have a very long casting time at 4.5 seconds, but the potential for damage is actually insane here. Even against the Cardboard Castle, which is a single target, I counted about 13 instances of 2700 damage, so 35k total. However, each of the explosions have an AoE on their own. Here we are in Beyond the Rails trying the Bomb Spawn, and you can see that one single bomb hit all 4 of them. So the potential damage in AoE scenarios is kind of insane. The biggest and most obvious drawback is that it's kind of random. So in this clip clip, you can see like several of them just didn't touch any enemy at all. But at least we had something to talk about this time. Next up, we got Aura Puncher. Not much to talk about here. For the 13.7k damage it deals, it's honestly kind of slow. The frontal AoE is at least kind of decent though. Another pretty interesting skill is the Headless Rider. It is, first of all, one of the stronger ones we've seen so far at 17k for its single hit, but it's also incredibly fast and has a nice center AoE on it. However, it does have a special effect. If an attack is launched during the spin, Headless Rider will perform a wheelie and slam the ground, dealing 1 instance of damage. I thought at first this means an attack launched at us, so we'd have to essentially parry, but that's not the case. You yourself have to press the attack button while he's spinning, and then he'll do this follow-up attack, dealing the same 17k damage, doubling the total to 34.5k. And for that amount of damage, it's still relatively fast at 2.5 seconds. And while the follow-up attack looks like it's more frontal AoE, you can see in this clip we are definitely hitting enemies on the side of us as well. Also just due to the effect on the ground, I assume that's kind of its hit radius. Next up we have Serenity, the other skill where you can interact during its animation. Without doing so, it is a bit mid, 26k damage, but a pretty long animation time at 3.5 seconds. The follow-up attack is quite strong, dealing almost 20k damage, bumping the total to nearly 50k, but it extends the animation time even longer to almost 5 seconds. And while the initial attacks have a decent center AoE, you can see in this clip, all 4 are getting hit by the initial scream, but the follow-up attack actually only hits those 3 directly in front of me, and the other one just keeps attacking as usual. Next up, we got Huggy Vines, a fast, weak skill with a small frontal AoE, which going forward is all I'm really going to say about skills of this nature, because yeah, they're all kind of similar. Next up, we got Bop, which is basically Huggy Vines, but with a center AoE. Also pretty fast and pretty weak. Next actually interesting one is the Cursed Blade here. It does no damage unless you get hit. It can only parry. It is also, I believe, the only skill where you're immune to damage during its entire animation. So for defensive purposes, I guess it could be pretty interesting depending on the situation. Like if you're fighting a boss and it has some attacks where you can like never dodge them for some reason, you know, maybe an idea there. Outside of that unique mechanic, it's pretty bad though. The damage is low, the animation time is actually pretty high considering the damage, but I guess this also can depend on how fast you get hit. The AoE also seems a bit mid, so I'd only ever really equip Curse Blade if you have a use for its defensiveness. Next up we got Rain Man, a fast weak skill with a small frontal AoE. Spider Knowledge Collector, okay damage, okay time, and actually a decent AoE if this circle on the ground it spawns is anything to go by. Skyfish Banner, guess what? It's a weak fast skill with a small frontal AoE. I guess Knockback, does that count as something special? Next up Noros, you wouldn't believe it, but it's a fast weak skill with a small frontal AoE. Though when I say small, I really mean tiny. You think we're gonna hit that red one in the back? No siree. It's a pretty small frontal AoE. Haunted Vending Machine. Damage and time, again, are okay, and the AoE is actually pretty good. It's deceptively large. In this clip, even though the enemies are quite spread apart, we end up hitting all 4 of them, so decent AoE there for sure. Haunted Record Player is pretty bad, but at least a little interesting. Actually deals pretty solid damage. Each of its 2 discs deal 14k. The 2 major cons are the animation time and the fact there is 0 AoE at all. Also, I have to say the one time I used this in actual battle, one of the discs just missed the enemy, I guess because of the way they arc. So yeah, it's just pretty bad. Moving on to Octopus, again, it's just okay damage, okay time, okay AoE. Nothing to really write home about. We do have another interesting one coming up though, the Eternal Lamp. It throws out 2 sets of 3 orbs in front of itself, so it has a very short range, but each orb has its own AoE, as you can see in this clip. So the damage potential in AoE scenarios is actually quite high, especially because unlike the bomb spawn, this is, you know, consistent and predictable. Moving on to Ghostly Kite, again, okay damage, okay time, okay AoE. Quite a lot of knockback as well for what it's worth. Next up is Sadie Teddy, which is almost exactly the same as the Ghostly Kite. It's a little stronger, a little slower, and a little less knockback. Tin Soldier Blue Rifle is also kind of bad, but at least different. It basically attacks with a rifle 3 times, totaling about 20,000 damage. Not too slow at 2.3 seconds, and its attacks can pierce targets, so there is some sort of AoE there. It does also have a very long range. Tin Soldier Red Axe just spins in place for a total of 20,000 damage, taking 2.2 seconds, and it does have a small central AoE. Proliferative C is very similar to the rifle, has a line AoE. It's a little stronger and a little slower. Though because it shoots out cubes and not a bullet, I assume the AoE is also thicker, so it should be easier to hit the enemies in a line, but you're still not going to hit stuff around you. Next up, we got Beat King. Honestly, very solid at first glance. 35,500 damage over 2 hits. 3-second animation time is a little long, but you know, for the damage, it's fine. Ironically, the main issue comes in AoE. The first strike has a massive amount of knockback. So if you are in an AoE situation where the enemies can be CC'd like this, I imagine you're almost never going to actually hit all of them with this second strike. Regardless, compared compared to most of the other ones we've seen today, even without the second strike at all, it's still solid. Moving on to Paper Squadron, probably the single worst skill in the entire game. Not even just talking about Lacrimosa herself, like any skill that exists in any game ever, except maybe like self-destruct against a ghost type. It does 4 hits of 8900 damage, which is like solid, you know, 35.6k damage. Not only is the animation time ridiculous though at 4.3 seconds, but it also has Beat King's problem amped up to 10. The first
Time to land in Solaris. Dude, what the fuck? She looks a little weird. Depths of reality, 30 days. That's something. No, Lumi. No, this person. I know this person. They're fine. Tactical hologram. What do you mean? I can just... get a character?
Locked and loaded.
First hit has a massive amount of knockback, so you're just kind of standing there, twirling, doing absolutely nothing until the animation is over. Again, I am aware you can cancel the animation, but then you're looking at a single 8k hit, and basically everything's better than that at that point. If I was doing a tier list, this thing would definitely go in F. Moving on to the never-ending Arachne, honestly, as one of the two boss classes, I was expecting her to be better. She's not bad by any means, it's just kind of meh. Basically a juiced up version of the common classes. 32k damage, 2.5 seconds, decent medium front AoE. Moving on to Black Tome, which in my opinion is actually the best one. It deals some of the highest, if not the highest damage at 46.2k split up into 2 hits, and its AoE is absolutely insane. The only downside is that yes, it does have a pretty long animation time at 3.7 seconds, but in this stage we don't even need to gather the enemies with Security. We just get somewhat close, pop the skill, and they all get hit. And even though the skill does have knockback, the first 2 closest to us also got hit on the second swing. And then if we do use Security to gather them together, all 4 of them get hit by both attacks. And then I start doing a jumping dance because I thought I found the winner. And honestly, at this point, I still think it's the best general use skill, just the one you're going to equip all the time. But I still do want to talk about the rest because there are still some interesting ones to go through. Mammon, for example, quite a bit faster than Black Tome. I think the difference in damage is worth Black Tome's animation time, but even so, depending on your rotation, maybe you just cannot afford.
Okay, so she can't
4-second animation
aim.
time, and Mammon's 2.4 would make more sense. What I very much like about Mammon is that his first strike does not do knockback, as you can see in this clip. They all just stay still. The second one and his final strike does do knockback. Tomato Devil, contrary to what it looks like, this is single target damage. Try as I might, I can never be sure I'm actually counting all the numbers correctly, so I am assuming about 27 instances of damage here, most likely off by a couple, maybe even 3. The animation time is also quite long, but does have very good single target damage. I did want to make sure there's not any actual AoE, and to be honest, at this point, I'm still not 100% sure. It could just be like really, really tiny. In the first clip, we just used the skill, and all attacks went to one enemy. In the next clip, we tried to group them together and use the skill again. This time, the front 2 enemies did take damage, but not as much as the single enemy took, so it seems to me that just half the attacks went to one, half the attacks went to other, and they're that close. Anyway, Raro Phone Booth, a medium skill with a small frontal AoE. Dream Spawn, actually decent damage, but very slow. Its AoE is also okay. Does not do any CC though. Feather Puppet, decent damage, decent time. I feel like this is another one of the cases where if we were to animation cancel right when the damage happens, it would actually be a very fast attack. But again, for the sake of comparison, we're not taking that into account. It is a little odd in AoE because there's basically no knockback or anything. So even though all 4 enemies are pretty close together, we actually only hit 3 of them. Taking a look at the Vishnus now, starting with the standard girl, a fast weak skill with a small frontal AoE. The male does a bit more damage, but takes a bit more time. The AoE is also kind of weird. The initial ground pound is like a small frontal AoE, as you can see here, and then it extends out to get an additional attack on whoever's directly in front. And I guess if there are any enemies behind that enemy, then they should also get hit. And now we have the final Vishnu, the double katana lady, a very fast, very weak skill with a small frontal AoE. I guess there is also a cool little dash there and knockdown. So that's something. Cardboard Castle, the guy we've been fighting this whole time. 2 10k hits, pretty fast at 1.7 seconds, and it does have a large frontal AoE. Swallowtail, also pretty interesting. Its AoE isn't quite as large, but does deal almost twice as much damage. When it comes to the Rain Sweeping Maid, it is a fast weak skill with a small frontal AoE, but for being in that class, it does a little bit more damage. Nestbound Bird, for being a boss class, honestly a bit disappointing. The damage is fine at 25k, but the animation time does not make up for it, and the AoE is even smaller than you would think. Like, we're not hitting this blue one off to the side or the one in front of us. Tiki Bear is okay. Solid damage, pretty fast, and, you know, decent center AoE with no knockback, so all hits actually land. And finally, we have the other real boss class, the Debt Collector. For being a boss class, he's a little disappointing, but still quite good. Also, just in the ease of use, like, it's fast, it's decently strong. 2 12k hits, it's fine, but I mean, it's ranged, it's wide, and it's piercing, so you don't have to do much prep work to, like, hit multiple enemies, you know? I mean, the same is true for the Black Tome. It has even a bigger AoE and obviously, like, pierces, but if you can't deal with its almost 4-second animation time, then yeah, this would be a good option as well. And actually finally now is like not having a skill equipped at all. I mean, just within the context of the skill itself compared to the other skills, it's pretty good. We have 17k damage and then some follow-up dot, I guess, 18.5, totaling about 22k damage, which is far away from the most we've seen, but it's also basically instant. And its AoE is also like medium frontish. One thing I did want to test is if these enemy skills become stronger as we raise her skill talent. I assumed this was the case, but I just wanted to make absolutely sure. We had 1 talent level to go, so we did another attack with Black Tome, and we can see we're getting these 23k hits. Then we went ahead and upgraded the skill to level 8, the highest I can get it currently. Did another Black Tome attack, and we got 24.9. Honestly, went up quite a lot. We're totaling just shy of 50k damage now with that one skill, which is pretty damn good, especially considering no buffs. Just for fun, I did a mini rotation. I couldn't do a full one because that kills the boss before I could do the skill. Upon at least doing Sakiri and Naniel, our Black Tome is now hitting for 42k each strike. So yeah, over 80k damage from just the skill. It's pretty damn good. But alright, let's do a little summary here because I know that was just a lot of information. My favorite one by far is the Black Tome. Here's a little clip I took out in the actual game. Saw a group of these criminal scum here. Goodbye criminal scum. That's pretty sick. That's pretty sick, isn't it? I do think Eternal Lamp has insane potential in AoE scenarios because each ball has its own AoE and it's more predictable than the bomb spawn down here, which again has potential, but it's like very RNG. Mammon is a faster but less convenient Black Tome, I would say, because its AoE is smaller. You probably do have to gather the enemies first if you want to hit all of them. Tomato Devil, I would assume, is still the best single target. Again, it's a bit hard to count all those individual shots. Dead Collector isn't the strongest or the fastest, but he is the coolest, probably. Like, them beam attacks are quite nice. Swallowtail also quite strong and a bit faster, I believe, than Black Tome, but less AoE. But yeah, I suppose that is it. That is all of them compared. Unfortunately, yeah, a lot of them are just kind of the same in a different outfit. Feel free to leave your own thoughts in the comments down below. Leaving a like or subscribing if you enjoyed is always greatly appreciated as well. Thanks, as always, for watching, and until next time. Do a little summary here because I know that was just a lot of information. My favorite one by far is the Black Tome. Here's a little clip I took out in the actual game. Saw a group of these criminal scum here. Goodbye criminal scum. That's pretty sick. That's pretty sick, isn't it? I do think Eternal Lamp has insane potential in AoE scenarios because each ball has its own AoE and it's more predictable than the bomb spawn down here, which again has potential, but it's like very RNG. Mammon is a faster but less convenient Black Tome, I would say, because its AoE is smaller. You probably do have to gather the enemies first if you want to hit all of them. Tomato Devil, I would assume, is still the best single target. Again, it's a bit hard to count all those individual shots. Dead Collector isn't the strongest or the fastest, but he is the coolest, probably. Like, them beam attacks are quite nice. Swallowtail also quite strong and a bit faster, I believe, than Black Tome, but less AoE. But yeah, I suppose that is it. That is all of them compared. Unfortunately, yeah, a lot of them are just kind of the same in a different outfit. Feel free to leave your own thoughts in the comments down below. Leaving a like or subscribing if you enjoyed is always greatly appreciated as well. Thanks, as always, for watching, and until next time.
Tear them to pieces.
Loading.
Together we vanquish. Triumph through sacrifice. Take form. Tear them to pieces. Be gone. I'll pay it back tenfold.
Leave it to me. Loading. In war with time.
Crosscut. Sever. Mind's eye. Crush my field of expertise.
My parents always say,
Zapstring. It's our
no matter
curtain
how
call.
busy life gets, you should always sit down and enjoy a proper meal when you get hungry.
I'll pay
What
it
I
back
like to leave it to
tenfold.
me is stack my plate up high, then squash it all down.
Together we vanquish. Be reduced to cinders. Perish in flames. Sever. Take form. Tear them to pieces. Think you got permission?
Loading.
Stop! There's still time! I want
Iron
you!
graft you knew.
Still refusing to turn back!
Tear them to pieces. I'll pay it back tenfold.
Don't blink!
Back off. I'll pay it back tenfold. Cleave it. Together we vanquish.
Strength is one of those things where you gotta use it or lose it.
Be gone.
So, wanna train with me sometime? Loading.
Crosscut. Sever. Feathers. Triumph through sacrifice. Take form. Tear them to pieces. Crush them.
Leave it to me. Loading. Durability lowered. Iron graft you knew. Durability
Together
lowered.
we vanquish. The cycle of life.
The feeling of do not impede. Loading.
Zapstring, the stage is yours.
There's a lot that goes into managing an orchard. Watering, weeding, fertilizing the soil, making sure the temperature is right. Most important. You have to keep the fruit in a good mood.
this. With let's go like yeah.
Such defiance.
Headbutt! Heads up! Yeah! Hut! Gotcha!
Okay. That's fine.
Bang! Bang!
Let's go to Miliastra also in the background. But you? I'm gonna fast travel you here. I'm gonna heal up and then I'm going to try to do it again. Or something like that. Stage B. What is stage B?
ability flow it. Durability flow it. Iron graft you knew.
Swift and resolute. One with the sound.
You know how this ends. I crush your every organ, shatter your every bone. Over here. Ah, this rodent can scratch. It's too late
Tear them
to
to
flee
pieces.
now. Let's have some fun.
Leave it to me.
Nerve.
Loading.
Over here.
One with the sound.
Shadow descends.
Is this
Down with the curtain! Tear them to pieces. Zapstring. It's our curtain call.
Don't blink.
rut
Be gone.
again?
Loading
Enough.
astral
Time to
modulation.
put you in your place.
Swift and resolute. One more time. Keep it together. You'll pay for this.
Vermin must be exterminated.
I'll pay it back tenfold.
It's too late to flee now. Let's
You
have
won't
some
cast me
fun.
down. I can't keep going.
Leave it to me. Loading. Worry not.
Tear them to pieces.
Watch closely. Interesting. You know how this ends.
One
I
with the
crush
sound.
your every organ, shatter your every bone.
Tear them to pieces. Crush them! Back off.
Back off.
You won't cast me down.
Leave it to me. Loading. In war with time.
One with the sound.
King Rut again. It's too late to flee now. Let's have some fun.
One more time.
You only prolong the inevitable.
I'll pay it back tenfold. You won't cast me down.
Loading. Physical damage detected.
Vermin must be exterminated.
Diminish.
You know how this ends. I crush your every organ,
Physical damage
shatter your
detected.
every bone.
Tear them to pieces. I'll pay it back tenfold. It's nothing. Swift and resolute.
Loading.
It's too late to flee now. Let's have some fun.
I'll pay it back tenfold. You won't cast me down.
Damn you.
Leave it to me. Physical damage
Think
detected.
you can hide?
Loading. Iron graft you knew.
Swift and resolute. One with the sound. Keep it together. I must not falter.
You know how this ends.
Worry not.
I
Loading.
crush your every organ, shatter your every bone.
time to wrap it up. I'll pay it back tenfold. You won't cast me down.
A feeling of pain.
Vermin must be
Loading.
exterminated.
Stay calm. Perish.
Tear them to pieces.
It's too late to flee now. Let's have
You
some
won't
fun.
cast
Leave it to me. Worry not. Loading. Astral modulation.
Think you
Feeling
can
of
Tear them
hide?
to
pain.
pieces.
Is this pain?
One with the sound.
Erupt again. Tap you.
No mercy.
You know how this ends. I crush your every organ,
Physical damage
shatter your
detected.
every bone.
Loading. In war with time.
It's too late to flee now. Let's have some fun.
One with the sound.
You only prolong the inevitable.
Tear them to pieces. I'll pay it back tenfold. You won't cast me
Leave it to
down.
me. Stay calm. Physical damage detected. Diminish.
Tear them to pieces.
Vermin must be exterminated.
Now you'll behave.
Loading. Physical damage
Back off,
detected.
worm. Think you can hide?
One with the sound. One more time. Keep it together. Sounds are faded.
It's too late to
Your time's
flee
over.
now.
Mhm.
there's still RX-7 everywhere. So last time I did basically everything but engine and drivetrain. So now I'm gonna do engine and drivetrain. I got an engine there. I have no idea what the inside of it looks like. I got another engine there. Same story. I gotta do transmission stuff and drive shaft stuff and computer stuff and whatever. I finally got the giant socket for the giant flywheel nut. The seal has been broken. So when you're building a rotary engine, you don't build it horizontally like you do a piston engine, you build it vertically. So I got this adapter that allows me to mount it vertically on the engine stand. Okay, I like that. The entire rear main seal is not supposed to spin. I can tell that that was leaking for a while.
No rush.
Those tension bolts were in there. I had to
Let me
impact
be
the
there for
ever-living
everyone
shit out of them to get them out.
As we head toward our shared future, leaving
Okay,
the
so this is a
past
side
behind.
that still made some compression on one cylinder, and honestly, the housing looks really good. It's got a little bit of scoring right here, but I mean, for how grungy this engine is on the outside, the inside doesn't look bad at all. Alright, so here's the bad side that made zero compression, and it doesn't look bad either. Like, it's really pretty good, and I think the whole story of this being a known good engine, the guy was swapping it in but never finished, I think that's true. This was a good engine like 20 years ago, but after sitting all that time, the seals just rusted and got stuck. I also have the engine that came with this car. Alright, this one's in not so great shape, which doesn't surprise me because it had already been kind of taken apart. Somebody before me took it apart, looked at this and went, ugh, and put it back together. The housings are no good, but the irons are, so if I ever need one of those, I got some. So on this housing that I thought was really nice, there is a small chunk of hardened plating missing right there, so I might go ahead and fork over the change for some new ones, because Mazda still makes them. Surprisingly, they still make them, so yeah, because I really want this thing to not blow up and run for a good while. As someone who's not been that really into rotaries, you know, reusing something like this is kind of like the piston engine equivalent of seeing a really scorned cylinder wall and just going, it'll be fine, put new rings in it and throw it together. So these irons, even though they look really good, they're still not new, so they have some wear on them. And since Mazda doesn't make these anymore, pretty much your only options are either have it resurfaced, which kind of grinds off the nitride coating and makes them wear out faster, or just throw them back in,
No rush.
which is what I'm gonna do. Technically, you can have them resurfaced and then recoated,
As we head
but that's
toward our
mega
shared
bucks I don't
future,
want to spend.
leaving
And
the
of course,
past
there's used ones on
behind.
eBay, but they're all in the same shape or worse than these are. So I was just looking at this iron, and there's a huge chunk missing from the water O-ring, whatever jacket. So this thing's garbage. This was the side that made zero compression, and that's probably why. It looks like it just corroded from sitting. So I have this one over here I can use instead. Its water jacket's fine, but it's also more worn out, but worn out's better than broken, I guess. I ordered a bunch of parts. None of them are here yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and address the giant hole in the roof. Seems like something important to fix. Last time I took the sunroof out for headroom and weight reduction and whatever other reasons you want to make up, and I kind of need to put this back after I separate it from the mechanism. Well, I was trying to get this thing to slide out with the motor, but it's stuck. Of course it is. Alright, I got the plate out in the completely correct way without breaking anything at all. Alright, so in order for me to actually use this as a patch, I'm gonna have to add quite a bit of material to the roof because this is smaller than the hole to make room for the seal that's no longer there. And it's also still kind of heavy because there's a lot of reinforcement in it. I'm just gonna make a new one out of sheet metal, but the sheet metal place isn't open right now, so I need to do something in the meantime. I got it some tie rod boots, and I need to attach the steering rack to the steering column because I forgot to before. Alright, so I bolted the steering rack up, and there's a clunk.
No rush.
These unobtainable,
Let me be
no
there
longer
for
made
everyone.
manual steering rack tie
As we
rods that
head
I thought
toward
were
our
good.
shared future,
Turns out they're
leaving
not
the
so good,
past
so
behind.
that's yet another problem I have to solve. I didn't have enough of those. Alright, I got a big ass piece of sheet metal to cut out to patch the roof. So I cut out this patch, and the issue I have with it is it's still kind of heavy. It doesn't have the reinforcement the original one had, but I used a thicker steel so it wouldn't need the reinforcement, but it still weighs about the same as the original. They make aluminum ones that you just kind of drape over top of the hole and rivet in, which are kind of uglier, but they're a lot lighter and a lot easier, so I might just go ahead and get one of those. I got it a new transmission. Now, there's nothing technically wrong with the original transmission, but this is a turbo transmission. This thing's beefcake compared to this one. They're made completely different. They're like an entirely different transmission. Now, the reason I got a turbo transmission is I also got a turbo differential, because last time the 7-inch was kind of giving me some problems and I didn't want to mess with it because it's wimpy anyway. So in order to install this, I kind of got to install the rest of the turbo stuff too. So turbo transmission, turbo drive shaft, turbo axles, turbo flywheel, turbo starter, turbo clutch, turbo everything. And at this point, I've pretty much decided to just put a stupid turbo on the stupid car because I'm putting all the turbo stuff in it anyway. And last time, a few people were like, oh, the gear ratio is different with the ring gear. Swap the ring gear and it'll work. Yeah, you're probably right. I already got the beefy one now, though. Now, I would go ahead and install this with the rear suspension, but it's an open differential. Now, why Mazda would put an open differential in a turbo car, I have no idea. It's really dumb. But I have one coming in the mail for it. And this turbo transmission was not easy to find. I almost didn't find one, but I eventually did. And the issue with this is, you know, having a rare expensive transmission, if I blow it up, I gotta buy another rare expensive transmission. So I'd kind of like to put something else in it at some point. So last time I was complaining about the steering wheel being too far away because I had to lean the seat back so far, and that I was gonna have to install an aftermarket dished wheel. And this is the aftermarket dished wheel in question. It's a Momo whatever. So I'm gonna put this on. Okay, that's a whole lot better. It's a lot closer to me now. That did exactly what I wanted it to do. Now I can steer my car that has no engine. Great. Another benefit to a dished wheel is they look a lot cooler than the flat ones do. I got some porting plates so I can port and polish the irons, and I'm not gonna do a bridge port. The internet loves bridge ports because, you know, they go brep, 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 brep when they idle, but the problem with a bridge port is it moves the power band to a really high RPM. And this is not going to be a high revving engine because I'm using heavy ass S4 rotors and I'm probably not going to balance it and whatever. So I don't want to move the power band up to a point the engine can't reach. That would be dumb. So these non-turbo irons have 2 ports on the intake, unlike the turbo ones that only have 1. And they have these goofy like valves that open at a high RPM to help high RPM power. And I'm going to remove these. So they're going to have a lot of overlap at low RPM anyway. So they might still go brep, I don't know. I would go ahead and try using these with the turbo, but the issue is if one fails and the other one doesn't, you know, one will be open, the other closed. It could lean out and possibly blow up the engine, so I'm just gonna remove them. So how this plate works is you put it in with the dowel pins and then mark the areas it doesn't cover and then grind out those areas. Real easy. Okay, so I've never actually done this before, but I pretty much just did the same thing I would on a piston engine. In here, I just kind of, you know, smoothed everything out as much as possible. Now I just have to do that like 3 more times. Good. The ports on the middle iron are made quite a bit bigger, so that's the stock one, and that's the ported one. This came in the mail. It's a limited slip for the differential. Power and speed are man's obsession. We are ecstatic with the technology. Trust in our dreams. I think the Japanese got a little bit lost in translation. Reminds me of a quote my teacher would always say, "Go to the principal's office." I'm not sure what that has to do with that. Here's the non-turbo versus the turbo axle whatevers. The turbo one's a lot beefier. Now, something I've neglected to do is order carrier bearings for the new differential, so I don't have any, which means I get to wait on some now. Waiting on parts is apparently my favorite thing to do because it's all I do. So I was just looking at carrier bearings, and they're like $120.
My elites produce science, unity, and trade. But how? While utilizing a bunch of mechanics from civics, origins, rulers, and leaders, we can create the ultimate elites, which provide the backbone to your empire. It's not simple, but once you have the steps down, it all comes together. In this video, I'll show you how exactly I got elites on my planets, producing a 300 tech, and 400 unity. Thanks to Sib for letting me know about this build in my Discord. Now let's get into it. Here is the build we'll be running, and there's a lot going on here. The key things you want is technocracy, as it's going to make our elites produce science, and merchant guilds, because it's going to make our elites produce more trade. We will eventually be going aristocratic elites, but not yet, because we need to be dictatorial for the under one rule origin, which is going to get us going massively. You absolutely want charismatic because it buffs up elite jobs, and there's an elite build. We're going to want the effective council skill because there's going to be some good council stuff, and then we've just taken 2 -2s, unruly and psychological infertility, so then we can go conservationist. This could be something else, but consumer goods are going to be an issue. We have to take authoritarian for hiking because we're going to want this job efficiency for elites 10%, and it only gets better as we level it up. We've then paired this with brutal and then great inventor because we're going cybernetics, we're going to have a lot of robotics, and these will be some nice bonuses. We then got xenophile for more trade from that merchant guilds, and it will make people like us more. Envoys are nice too. A materialist because it's nice. I'm playing on my standard settings. Grand Admiral, mid-game scaling, actually at 50 with 0.75 tech and tradition. Let's get into it. So the key thing about this build is the elites, but also how we buff them. Cybernetic Ascension, Imperial ship set will let our ruler get 10% elite pop output per level. So we want to level up our leader here, Kerbo, as much as damn possible. And under one rule, the origin is going to help us with that. You don't have to go it, but its origin's going to be great with it. The site standard, we want to get our planets as quickly as possible. We're Arctic, so this arid world, size 25 is good, but we're not going to be able to settle that until we get terraforming, most likely. So let's get Arctic world first. Split off the Pain Train fleet and send off this leader to go and explore. In terms of tech buildings are still going to be nice, even though we're going to get tech from our elites, but in the early game, it's not going to be too much. We're going to actually grab the Unity though, because Unity is an issue at the start, and I'm actually going to go for Powered Out Skeletons instead. We didn't have these 2 techs, I probably would have gone the tech buildings, but we want to get to robots quickly, and we want Unity. Now you can see our elites are actually tech visionaries as a combined job, giving us 12 technology and 9 Unity, as well as 23 trade. That's not too bad. I don't say so myself. Because we are technocracy, we also start with a science leader in charge. They're going to be giving us more efficiency for those tech jobs, and I actually will put you on there. Council agenda speed is going to be very important, as you'll see soon. Kerbo can also level up, so let's give them some traits. We're obviously going to go Spark of Genius. That's why we're going for a science leader to start, so we can get that research speed. And I'm going to take the council agenda speed. We want council agenda speed. You'll see why. The reason I went for it there instead of Spark of Genius is because you always will get a level up, and I'd rather take that 100% council agenda speed. And now here, where these are good, but I'd rather take that level up. Maybe I should have taken something different. We'll just take the XP game, and then we get statistician for the research speed. So we're already starting off at a decent amount of research speed. We're going to switch over our group order to a Hydro Bay to start with. We're then going to buy 100 minerals off the bat and build a mining district. And then we are going to buy some consumer goods, sell some food and energy. And then once we're back down to 1.3 minerals, we'll buy the minerals. That's usually just after 3 months in. Now we can buy those minerals. We'll see how the economy is affected by that before we do any more tweaks. We've got a little bit more we can eke out. We can sell a bit more energy. So we can buy a couple allies. And then I think we're just going to build a mining station on this mineral deposit. So then we can queue up sprawling slums to create some pops once the mine district's done, and hopefully then we can get enough minerals for the city districts. We found out other Arctic world. Construct military ship will continue to explore, and what I'm going to do, I'm min-maxing a little bit more today. We're going to put the 500 corvette fleet over here, so when we go north and there's nothing there, we can just easily switch the leader to go south. We have quite an amazing spawn, I can't lie. Not bad, is it? Mineral district's done, so now mineral income is going to be nice. And I'm just going to take the admin AI. The 5% research speed will always be nice on top of about 22 that we already have as a base level. Yeah, we can almost build the colony ship, which we're going to want to do as soon as we can. And now we have some under one rule law. All you need to know is it begins the event chain, where essentially when this is done in 40 years, we're going to get trait upgrades. Depending on how many points we get those from controlling systems, colonizing planets, and signing defense packs. So we do want to just basically play as normal. We want to expand. That's what we normally do, so I'm more than happy to do that. I'm incredibly close to 100,000 subscribers. Once I hit that milestone, I will stream for 25 hours, beating all 25 times Crisis. There may even be special guests within that stream too. So make sure to subscribe and extra points if you put the notification bell on. Thank you, and let's get back to the video. Okay, let's build the colony ship, and then we're going to do a city district on our capital. And I probably should have put information quarantine to +5 stability. We're going to keep expansionist on because we do want that reduced build outpost cost so we can expand as much as we can. And for now we'll leave militarized economy on. We might want to go to normal, but we might not as well. We'll see. We've found an enemy. Please don't kill this leader. Something you can do, right click them, get them off, and then we can just put them on this one so they don't die, and we can keep exploring that way. Maybe they escape, maybe they don't, but we don't lose the leader that way. They do escape, which is nice. However, it's going to be quicker for them to go there. Let's get infinite opportunities, and then I think we're going to go for the unifying promise because it helps with our luminary leader, and we want our leader to be nice and strong. You could play this elite build a different way to be quicker at the start by not going under one rule, but we're trying to build into like the ultimate leader in about 50 years. So that's what we're going to do. Any envoys we're going to do straight away, and we can now build our first outpost. We will just keep spamming city districts because city districts are going to give us tech, unity, alloys and consumer goods, so we may as well do that. Distress signal, sure, we'll do it. We probably won't actually do it. Colony ship's done. Over here's done too. Build the mining stations, they're very important early game now, and let's colonize. We want colonies up as soon as we can because the more colonies we have, the more elite jobs we can get, and that's going to be very important. Okay, fish tradition, gonna be a weird one. We're going domination first. It does give us 5% workable output. We're not going for that. We're going it for imperious architecture, which will give our capital buildings more housing and tech visionary skills with job scaling tiers, so we're going to get more elites, essentially is what that is. We want more elites because they're giving us tech and unity, humanities and trade. They're just really good for us. And that's what our civics are doing, so we may as well do that. Okay, we're going to try and focus on the next colony ship before we do any starbase shenanigans. We want those planets up way quicker than starbases, so we can build that next colony ship and then move our construction ship over. Oh, we've also found an enemy. I think it's the same one potentially, I'm not sure. Back you up, and then we'll start exploring down here. You can see there's nothing up here, so we're not going to...
Alright. Oh my god. There's really a lot of stuff in this game. Okay, that's a bit more like it. Just a bit more than necessary. I see what it is.
We still have a long journey ahead of us. Let's press on.
Okay, that works. Not interested in doing anything else right now. Alright, was down. That's going to be it for the strong look. Fun, thanks for watching, and see you next time.